Ariel Tov, and good evening, everybody. For those who don't know, my name is Ariel Naveh. I am a fourth-year student here at the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, and I am the fellow at the Center for Holocaust and Humanity Education.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I am Benson, and I am a third-year rabbinic fellow and student here at the University of the Hebrew Union College. My fellowship is working with the University of Cincinnati, Hillel. My focus is on LGBTQ inclusion across the community.
So we're going to talk this evening for a little bit about the ideas of community and the ideas of allyship and being an upstander. And so we're going to start off with a few stories. So the story I want to tell you is about a gentleman by the name of Naveh, who at the age of 11 in Nazi-occupied Holland was asked by his neighbor by the name of Corey ten Boom to deliver ration cards to Jews in outer-lying Dutch neighborhoods. He asked his parents if he could do this, being that he was asked by his neighbor, a very beloved neighbor. And his parents said, no, we don't want you getting involved in this. This isn't your fight. Stay out as long as you can. Being an 11-year-old boy, Naveh, of course, said no to his parents and biked for hours and hours from his town of Haarlem to surrounding Jewish neighborhoods to make sure that those Jews in those surrounding neighborhoods had ration cards. When asked why, he said, tolerance is exactly what makes us whole as Jews. Tolerance, not as Jews, but as people. Tolerance is what makes us human.
I want to talk to you today about Mark Kirk, who in 2009 was elected to the Senate for the state of Illinois. And when he was elected to the Senate, he was openly anti-gay marriage. Unfortunately, in 2012, he had a stroke in the early part of the year, and after both what he claims was physical and spiritual rehabilitation, he came back to work in the beginning of this year, in 2013, in January, and he said this quote upon arriving upon the Capitol steps. When I climbed the Capitol steps in January, I promised myself that I would return to the Senate with an open mind and greater respect for others. Actually, just earlier this month, he wrote in his blog, same-sex couples should have the right to civil marriage. Our time on this earth is limited. I know that better than most. Life comes down to who you love and who loves you back. Government has no place in the middle of this. This was someone, a Republican senator, who became the second senator to openly come out in support of gay marriage, which was not an easy thing to do as a Republican senator. But for him, it was not until he had faced what it meant to be other, until he had this stroke and understood what it meant to be othered in some way and have to go through some type of struggle. And after he went through this, he recognized, as he put it in his own words, that respect for others and respect for all peoples. And that's what allyship really is. Beyond the LGBTQ spectrum to all peoples is this respect and understanding and support of those who are other than us in some way. And today we want to focus on how different communities, different peoples, different organizations can be allies, and as Ari said earlier, upstanders, people who can stand up for those other communities that are not part of the communities they belong to.
So to that extent, we want to talk a little bit about what is an upstander. How is someone like Naveh, an 11-year-old boy who was riding his bike, how is he an upstander? How can we be upstanders? And the questions that we're going to pose to you are, if you think about the communities to which you belong, the communities to which you have the strongest connection, and the communities to which you feel you get, from which you feel like you get the most out of. This could be your family, this could be your Jewish community, your non-Jewish community, your religious community in general. This could be your neighborhood, your geographic center. This could be a book club. This could be a knitting circle. This could be whatever it is that you get something from. And then consequently, which communities challenge you? Which communities demand the most from you? And then conversely, which communities do you not feel like you have a particular connection to at all? Which communities are out there, either here in Cincinnati or abroad, that you feel like you understand to a certain extent, you know of, they are out there, they exist, but you have no strong relation to either way. Someone like Anna Willemeyer, an average 11-year-old boy. Someone like Paul Gruninger, a Swiss border guard, who rescued countless Jews by allowing them into neutral Switzerland. Average people. Nothing special about these people in general. People that realized how to be an upstander, how to stand up and do what's right for those outside of their immediate circle. This is what an upstander is, and this is how we as a community here in Cincinnati can learn from these models and understand that even those that we don't immediately connect to, even those we don't have an immediate relationship with, we are obligated to them, no less, to do good.
We tend to overlook those communities that we're not part of. We tend to only see those ones that we are part of to try to help support and nurture them and help build them. But it's those communities that we're not part of that oftentimes do get overlooked. And so we want to ask you today a little bit about those communities which you are not part of, and how you think there are ways to be able to support them, to be an ally to them, to be an upstander for them. What are some ways in which you know some of your organizations or some of the communities you're a part of have been, or in your own work, have you been an upstander or an ally to a different community?
Don't all shut up at once. Shayna.
Part of it is inviting those other communities to interact with you in some way, even if it's a single representative sharing a little bit about their culture. My children have guest speakers coming all the time from their culture, sharing holidays and customs, and I realize we don't do that very often. So even if it's in a very formal way, consciously reaching out to those people from other communities and hearing what's important for them.
When we do Safe Zone trainings, that's one of the first things is listening to those who are around us. Betty DeGeneres, Ellen DeGeneres' mom, came out with a statement not too long after she wrote her book. Actually, I believe it was in her book. And she wrote about how the population of gay individuals in this community, in the world, in America, are approximately the same amount as left-handed people. And she rendered a guess that most people know somebody who's left-handed.
We are. On the cell phone, and I own it.
I am not. I try to respect and help support you in any way I can. But then she said, there are so many people who claim that they don't know someone who's gay. And she said those people are either ignorant of the people around them, or they're just totally out of it, totally living under a rock. And so it's that listening, it's making sure that we do have those people come in and listen and have that ability to see them, make that visibility present.
So one of the ways in which we've done that so far in CHAG actually has been working with tour groups that come in. This morning, actually, in particular, I worked with a student group of Catholic students from a school on the east side. And one of the key elements that we discussed with them was the idea of the golden rule. We're all familiar with the golden rule. And one of the points that we tried to actually connect with them was actually transcending from the golden rule to what we call the platinum rule. Something we may not be familiar with. Platinum rule stating, we all know what the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have done unto you. The platinum rule, right, you know, like in Delta Miles, it's called the platinum rule states, do unto others as you would expect them to be desired. Do unto others as they would wish to be treated. It seems like a given. It seems something that we just think of, right? Okay, so I would be treating somebody as if they would want to be treated. Understood, right? But this is where allyship comes in. So, what comes to mind when you think of being an ally? What is it? What does it mean to be an ally to somebody?
Well, for me, I can remember interviewing someone for a position, and very soon learned that he happened to be a man, was an Alcoholics Anonymous. This was a time in which I knew almost nothing about alcoholism. And at that moment, I was hearing two voices within me. One that was, I would say, prejudiced, and one that said, I have something to learn here. And what might it mean for despite what my own feelings initially had been. Subsequently, actually, that person was hired, did wonderfully in the work. I mean, it happens to be a happy ending in this case too. But irrespective of that, I knew that at that point I had something to learn if I was going to, in this case, be an ally to a constituency that I personally knew at the time very little about.
Thank you.
I feel like action means more than anything. For me, for instance, I have a lot of friends who are in the LGBT community. I come from a very conservative background. Needless to say, I ended up fighting that, but you can say all you want, but when it comes down to it, particularly with the people in our nation, we don't act, we don't do something about it. It's not going to change. And with the example of the young boy with the rash course, something along the same lines.
So before you leave us and move on to the next group, we want to ask you to continue to think about this concept of allyship, that an upstander, being an upstander, that unites our two organizations, both of our organizations seeking out to make sure that there's kindness and compassion towards all peoples. But I want to leave you with these thoughts of what does it mean to be an ally, and truly, how can you be an ally to other groups? Why? Why is it important that we take those steps and become upstanders and allies to those groups that we might not be affiliated with? And how, from an organizational and from a leadership standpoint, we do that as well. Now we'll give you your piece of the puzzle, since hopefully now you will all go forth and be allies and supporters of other peoples and compassionate people. Is there a representative from your group to continue with your puzzle piece? And actually, you'll stay here.
You stay here.
Stay here.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.